The promotion for Stranger Things 5 is officially intensifying. Hey everyone, Ty the TV Guy here, back with a Stranger Things 5 update. This time, going to dive into numerous different things and topics revolving around Stranger Things 5, of course, and recent details we've gotten about the release and just other promotional efforts from various sources. So this video is going to be kind of all-encompassing in regards to information we've gotten over the past week or so about the show. Before I get any further into things, make sure to like this video if you enjoy, subscribe to my channel. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers in the next few weeks before the release of Season 5, so I'd greatly appreciate that. Also, just want to note, I'm in full Season 5 form. I got my WSQK radio hat here. I got some Funko Pops. Here's a Nancy one. Here is a Dustin one for Season 5, of course, and then here is Will as well. So I'm going to start increasing that collection as well, but like I said, I'm in full Season 5 form now. But okay, the first actual topic I want to get into is the runtime. So of course, earlier this past week, we were given the runtimes officially by Ross Duffer, the co-creator of Stranger Things, on his Instagram page, kind of in classic fashion at this point, as we've grown accustomed to. This time, it was basically him releasing this out of necessity to shut down all of the recent and incorrect rumors about the runtimes for Season 5. Initially, if you remember and follow this stuff kind of closely, earlier in the summer, there were a bunch of false spreadsheets and stuff going around about the runtimes being almost all over 2 hours for each episode, which was obviously ridiculous and fake from the start, in my opinion. There was a more recent run of rumors, though, posted by some even credible news sources and websites, that every episode would be from 90, so an hour and a half, to 120 minutes. And so that was a little bit more reasonable, but I still never made a video on that or reacted to it because I didn't fully believe it. And this is why. I kind of just wanted to trust what we were actually going to get from the credible sources of the show, and there's no more credible source than Ross Duffer himself. And I was also skeptical all along because I know the Duffers had said that the episode lengths should stay around an hour, at least for a lot of episodes in the season. And there was an interview in the past with Finn Wolfhard where he said he recalls they're probably going to have an episode below an hour, and sure enough, he's right, as the second episode here is below an hour. So to go through these exact runtimes with you real quick, if you somehow haven't seen these yet, the first episode, which of course is going to be The Crawl, is an hour and 8 minutes, the actually second longest of this first volume. The next episode, shortest of the season, presumably, definitely shortest of this first volume, is obviously The Vanishing of We Don't Know Yet, at 54 minutes. Then we have coming in at an hour and 6 minutes, the third episode, which is The Turnbow Trap. And then the fourth episode, Sorcerer, is going to be the longest of the first bunch, coming in at an hour and 23 minutes. So taking a look at these runtimes, what do I think here, and am I disappointed? I can say maybe slightly. I probably had slightly higher expectations. I don't think they intended for Season 4 to be quite as long as it was, and then through editing and just sorting through everything and making sure they tell the whole story, it ended up being a little longer than they expected. So I thought that might happen again here with Season 5, and as a fan, I was selfishly hoping that it would kind of push all the episodes to like an hour 20 plus, almost similar to like we saw with Season 4, but it didn't quite do that here. We have every episode just a little over an hour, or one even below that hour mark, other than the Volume 1 finale. So not exactly what I was hoping for, but I'm not as disappointed, I think, as probably the average fan, because I never believed any of those ridiculous reports with just crazy high runtimes where everything would be like a super long movie. But don't get it twisted, guys. These are still really solid episode lengths for a television show. I mean, much longer than most TV show episodes. So I'm going to be grateful for what we got, and it's still going to be a whole lot of content. And the thing you have to keep in mind, too, is there's not going to be all that ramp-up period, where our characters are kind of having fun and getting to know the new environment, getting acclimated, and then figuring out about the new monster at the beginning of the season. It's going to be getting right into action, so it's going to feel longer than maybe it is, because we're not going to have to go through that build-up period as we have in past seasons. While on the topic of runtimes, even though this information didn't come out at the exact time, we also have gotten pretty official word, I believe, from one of the recent news articles that the Duffers have been involved in, that the final episode of the show will be at least 2 hours long. And so I always held that belief that the final episode would be, feature film length, kind of like the finale of Season 4. And so I never really had second doubts about that, but it does appear to be almost completely official at this point. And so yeah, I was hoping that the episode lengths would kind of resemble those of season 4, even if that wasn't the original intention, but it does seem the Duffers and Netflix were able to keep them a bit shorter this time, which I think was actually part of the goal. I don't think they wanted it to drag quite as long as season 4, and it makes sense. You don't have to jump all over the place. You don't have the ramp-up period, like I said, so it makes sense. Selfishly, as a fan, I was hoping for that extra time with our characters, but it's still going to be plenty, I'm sure. Otherwise, like I briefly mentioned there in that last spiel, we do have like a bunch of news articles coming out in the last few days. One from Time Magazine, one from Variety. I think there's even another one thrown in there that's kind of just giving us various details about the show. One was focused more on interviewing the kids a bit. One was focused a bit more on the Duffer Brothers and their experience creating the show and formulating this final season. So that was all an interesting read, and I suggest you to go through those in detail if you're a super fan of the show. But I'm just going to pick out and highlight a couple things from these articles that I found to be really crucial, important, or interesting, whether in a good or a bad way. And I'm going to start off with a bad thing here that was really disappointing to me, to know that it was like semi-close to happening just because the creators of the show wanted it to happen, and that's having the final episode premiere in theaters. I think that would have been absolutely groundbreaking, an awesome experience for us fans to be able to go to theaters if we want and watch it with other Stranger Things fans, react to the final episode of the show in real time. I know it's not how I've experienced the show all along, and I think that's the argument that Netflix is trying to present, like this is how the fans have always consumed the show, and therefore that's how they still want to consume it. But I would have definitely taken the opportunity to be amongst other super fans in the theaters, having crazy reactions to the fight scenes, the sadness, whatever's going to happen in that final episode. I think that would have been awesome to have that release in theaters. And I'm pretty disappointed that Netflix shut the idea down of the Duffer Brothers because they were all in for it. They wanted it to happen, but it's a no-go. The bosses said no. I also found just the approach of the Duffer Brothers in this final season, and once again, Finn kind of had an interesting comment on the show coming to an end, saying that, it was in the back of their minds a little bit that they wanted to execute this, and they know that it's gone wrong in other places. Of course, kind of the infamous example at this point is Game of Thrones and its ending. It's kind of regarded as one of, if not the greatest shows of all time, but, there's that big asterisk, there's that big but, everybody says, but the ending was just so bad, and so, Finn specifically references that, we don't want a Game of Thrones situation, and the Duffer Brothers also seem pretty mindful of wanting to end this perfectly. They spent so much time on it, it's eaten up the whole, 30s period of their life, their 30s. Now they're in their young 40s, and it can't all be a waste. It can't all go to crap because the ending isn't fulfilling and isn't true to the story. So, they said they went back and studied, a bunch of TV show endings in preparation for writing this and finishing it off the right way, to kind of see what went wrong in shows that weren't received well and what went right in the really good endings. And they just found that it's most important to stick to the nature of the show and what's going to be authentic to the show, its plot, and its characters, rather than trying to force like extra climactic moments that don't deserve to and shouldn't be there. In these few articles as well, we've gotten a couple new snapshots of pictures here. Here, this one that I'm throwing up on screen is, of course, the Byers and the Wheelers having dinner together at the Wheeler house family, dinner table in the dining room. So it appears that the Byers might be crashing at the Wheelers house now that they're back in town. The confusing part of this for me is that, at this point, I realize they probably didn't have their house anymore. They sold it when they moved away to California, but now they've been back, and there is a time jump of 18 months to start this season, I believe. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a short period before that, but I'm not sure why 18 months later, they'd still be shacking up with the Wheelers and wouldn't have found a place to stay by now. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about. I mean, if they just chose to continue to live there, I guess that's okay, but you'd figure Ted and Mrs. Wheeler wouldn't want another full family in their house for a year and a half. But maybe that's just what the Byers had to do right now, and the Wheelers are being extra gracious. This is definitely going to be a cool dynamic, though, kind of having two whole families in the show together. Not sure we've seen something like that. And of all the characters involved, these are like the two biggest families, I think. I guess the Sinclairs, we've seen both the parents and two kids as well. But, these whole families together just kind of feels like a unique event for the show. We also have this photo of Dustin seemingly being bullied once again in the hallways of school. And we can maybe take from this that this is where the shirt is going to rip, because we see that his shirt is ripped when he goes to visit Eddie's grave, and then we can kind of presume that he's going to get beat up while or directly after visiting Eddie's grave by these school jocks that were friends with Jason and everything. So kind of can connect the dots there for the early events that I presume are all going to happen in episode 1, to be honest. And then this is a widely discussed image that's been going around the past couple of days now, which is the shot of a Demogorgon seemingly staring down at Lucas Sinclair in the tunnels. Now, we got the other POV of this. I'll flash this picture up as well, with Lucas all bloodied on his shirt and everything, kind of seemingly staggering back and looking up in fear. Well, it appears like we got his point of view on this, which was looking up at a Demogorgon, which looks awesome, by the way. I mean, the graphics look absolutely breathtaking in this final season so far. I think it's going to be a crazy cinematic experience. But yeah, man, dang. I mean, why is Lucas all alone down here? I don't know quite what's going on. I mean, hopefully somebody's coming to help him here within a few seconds, because the Demogorgon's about to rain terror down upon him if not. So we got to get some help for our boy Lucas here. I think he'll be all right. I'm still standing by my theory that like Lucas is going to be safe overall in this final season. Obviously in this specific scene, he's in quite a lot of danger, but I don't think he's a character that's going to bite the dust personally. Also, on the Time Magazine YouTube channel, we've gotten a few kind of interviews and just promotional videos from the main 6 younger characters, or actors, I guess you could say, in the show. Of course, Millie Bobby Brown, Noah Schnapp, Finn Wolfhard, Gaten Matarazzo, Caleb McLaughlin, and Sadie Sink, all in the flesh, kind of just reminiscing about the show. You know, there's one where they do like a quiz about each other. But I bring this up not because anything super notable happens in these interviews. At least I don't think so. I know some of the Byler Maleven crowd is going to go crazy about reading into how, you know, Mike and Eleven, or I guess Finn and Millie, like hold hands for a second on here when, you know, what their actors do has nothing to do with the characters, obviously. But I know people are going to go crazy over that type of stuff. I don't really think any of that has impact on what's going to actually occur in the show in the final season. The only reason I mention this is just because I'm going to sound like a nerd here for the show, but I just love these actors. Like, honestly, they're just like, it's crazy that, you know, they handpicked these kids from a young age, and they all turned out to be like not only such great friends, but even individually just such like likable people that all come together and seem so genuine in their like for each other and their love for the show and the story of, you know, the plot and the characters within it that they play. It just seems like everything's so organic and authentic with this cast, how they relate to each other and how they appreciate the show. And for me as a viewer, that just makes it all the more worthwhile and just a better experience watching, knowing that the you know, actors seem all into it as well. And then admittedly, I've been a little busy. I have my sister's wedding this weekend, so I might actually not be posting this until after the wedding. So hopefully no more big news comes out until then, since I'm filming this a couple days ahead of time. But there have been like a couple other minor hints toward you know, little plot points throughout the season as well. And so those were a few of the most important things I wanted to talk about. Obviously, first and foremost, since I haven't talked about it yet on my channel in a full-length video, the runtimes, some of the creative process from the Duffer Brothers and expectations for certain elements of this final season. Obviously, some of the new pictures we've been revealed, even though kind of minute details, I believe. Still pretty cool to see some of the stuff, especially the shot of that Demogorgon that looks so epic. And just how relatable and I think likable this cast is, and how much more enjoyable it makes the rollout of the show. And I know the rollout has been getting a lot of hate online, at least from what I've seen, like it's boring or something. I've honestly enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know what people expect. It's the final season. They don't want to spoil a whole lot. They're not going to give us like an excessive amount of, you know, footage, you know, actual footage from this final season. So they're going to do a lot of filler stuff with, you know, our characters or our actors, you know, reacting to the past seasons and their best moments within them. I think that's cute. I think that's fun. I've had no problem with the Stranger Saturdays rewatches. You know, I think those have been pretty cool. We've been getting the character posters as well. And then now the press run is obviously really going to ramp up, and we already see it through the Time magazine, the Variety, and other articles as well. So things are intensifying, and it's getting more and more exciting to be a Stranger Things fan, as we're just a little over a month away. So what can we expect over the next month plus until November 26th comes and we actually get the episodes? Well, I think the next couple weeks there's going to continue to be a little bit more press run stuff, you know, a couple more interviews of the cast going onto YouTube, things of that nature, and more buzz kind of accumulating that way. I think we're going to get more of those lower level marketing videos from Stranger Things and Netflix themselves, kind of interviewing the characters and the cast, seeing what they thought of certain moments in the show, and kind of the rewind thing they're doing. And then I do think the official trailer at this point isn't going to drop until early November. That's my prediction. I think they might wait all the way till Stranger Things Day on November 6th. I honestly think it's kind of at that point now. I think they usually release it about a month before. I don't think this official trailer is going to be all that revealing. Don't get me wrong. It's going to have a couple minutes of footage. It's going to have some new stuff we haven't seen in the teasers and everything, but I just think it's going to be the least revealing of all official trailers we've gotten for the show, naturally, because it's the final season, and they don't need to show us a whole lot of new footage. I honestly hope we don't get it, because it promotes itself. It's the last shebang. But honestly, guys, that's all I have for this video right now. I could do more nerdy deep dives and try to look into super specific things in these articles. I definitely skimmed through them and found what the Duffers and some of the actors said to be interesting, but I basically just want to show you guys that, hey, I got the hat, I got the Funko Pops, I'm still paying attention to what's going on, I'm fully nerding out on this final season, and we're getting closer and closer. Wanted to talk about a few details. That's all for today. This is Ty the TV Guy, signing off. See you in the next one. Peace.